The Extinction Protocol. The message arrived 3 minutes before the plasma bombardment began. It contained no demands, no declarations of war, just 12 words that would haunt Commander Gillian Hargrove for the rest of her life. Your species is a genetic dead end. Extinction is your evolutionary destiny. Harmony Colony, once the pride of humanity's expansion into the Cygnus arm, transformed from a thriving settlement of 1.2 million souls to an inferno of superheated gas and molecular disintegration. The Kryvax Collective, a species humanity had never encountered, struck without warning, their gravitational weapons crushing buildings as easily as a child might crumple paper. Commander Hargrove stood rigidly before the central holographic display in Earth Strategic Command, her knuckles white as she gripped the console's edge. The live feed from Harmony showed nothing but fire and destruction. They targeted the children first, Lieutenant Olivia Santos reported, her voice hollow. The schools, pediatric centers, even playgrounds, all hit in the initial wave. We're looking at over 340,000 children confirmed dead. Admiral Damian Forrest, his weathered face drawn tight with controlled fury, turned to the assembled military leadership. Before today, we'd never even heard of the Kryvax Collective. Now they've committed the single greatest atrocity in human history. The operations room fell silent, the gravity of their situation settling like lead in their stomachs. Humanity had spent 2 centuries expanding outward from Earth, establishing colonies, making peaceful contact with a dozen sentient species. Nothing had prepared them for this. What do we know about them? Asked General Winston Okonkwo, his deep voice carrying across the room. Lieutenant Santos activated a different display. Very little, sir. From what our sensors gathered before Harmony's systems went offline, they appear to be some form of silicon-based life, possibly evolved in high-pressure environments. Their technology is advanced. We've never seen weapons like the ones they deployed. Any communication beyond the initial message? Commander Hargrove asked. Nothing directed at us, Santos replied. But we intercepted some internal transmissions. Our linguistics team is working on it, but preliminary translations suggest they see us as contamination. A biological infestation that needs to be cleansed. Hargrove felt ice form in her veins. This wasn't a war over resources or territory. This was extermination. Options, Admiral Forrest demanded. I need options now. The room erupted in voices, some advocating immediate retaliation, others suggesting diplomatic outreach to their alien allies, a few even arguing for surrender in hopes of saving what remained of humanity. Throughout it all, Commander Hargrove remained silent, her mind racing. She thought of her brother and his family who had moved to Harmony 3 years ago. She thought of her 7-year-old niece, Zoe, who had sent her a hand-drawn picture just last week. All gone now, reduced to ash and memory. We fight, she said, her quiet voice somehow cutting through the cacophony of debate. All eyes turned to her. But not conventionally. We can't match their technological superiority in a head-on confrontation. She moved to the central display, calling up the galactic map. We need to be smarter. More adaptable. We need to hit them in ways they won't expect. Admiral Forrest nodded slowly. What are you proposing, Commander? Operation Phoenix, she replied, determination hardening her voice. A multi-pronged approach, rapid technological innovation focused specifically on countering Kryvax weapons, guerrilla tactics against their supply lines and outposts, and a diplomatic initiative to rally other species who may have suffered at their hands. The room fell silent as the assembled leaders considered her words. General Okonkwo was the first to speak. It's a long shot, Commander. We'd be gambling the survival of our entire species. With respect, General, Hargrove replied, our species is already facing extinction. The Kryvax have made their intentions crystal clear. They won't stop with Harmony. President Ilana Rivera, who had been silently observing from the head of the table, finally spoke. The commander is right. This isn't a conventional threat that we can address with conventional means. She stood, her presence commanding despite her small stature. I'm authorizing Operation Phoenix effective immediately. She looked directly at Hargrove. Commander, I want you to lead the offensive components of this operation. Your background in special operations and your personal motivation make you uniquely qualified. Hargrove straightened, feeling the weight of humanity's future settle onto her shoulders. I'll assemble a team immediately, Madam President. Admiral Forrest, the President continued, coordinate our defensive strategies. I want evacuation protocols established for every human colony. If we can't defend them all, we need to be prepared to save as many lives as possible. As the meeting adjourned and leaders rushed to their respective tasks, Admiral Forrest pulled Hargrove aside. Jillian, he said softly, using her first name for the first time in years, I know about your family on Harmony. If you need time. What I need, she interrupted, is to make sure no one else experiences what I'm feeling right now. Her eyes burned with determination and grief. The Kryvax made a critical error today. They showed us exactly what they're capable of, and now we'll show them what humanity can do when pushed to the edge of extinction. As she strode from the command center, Hargrove silently made a promise to her lost family and to the 1.2 million souls of Harmony Colony, your deaths will not be in vain. We will endure. We will survive. And somewhere out there, the Kryvax would learn what it meant to awaken humanity's primal instinct for survival. Shadows and strategy. The underground facility codenamed Olympus hummed with activity. Located 3 kilometers beneath the Andes Mountains, it had been constructed in secret over the past decade as humanity's ultimate fallback position. Now, just 2 weeks after the Harmony Colony massacre, it had become the nerve center of Operation Phoenix. Commander Jillian Hargrove strode through the central corridor, her footsteps echoing against metal floors. Scientists and military personnel parted before her with respectful nods. The dark circles under her eyes testified to sleepless nights, but her posture remained ramrod straight, her gaze focused. She entered the research wing where Dr. Rajiv Mehta, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, hunched over a holographic display showing the molecular structure of what appeared to be crystalline armor. Commander, Dr. Mehta acknowledged without looking up. Right on time. Tell me you have something, Doctor, Hargrove said, dispensing with pleasantries. Dr. Mehta gestured to the display. We've been analyzing the debris recovered from Harmony. The Kryvax possess a silicon crystalline biology unlike anything we've encountered before. Their technology seems to be a direct extension of their biological systems, almost symbiotic. He manipulated the display, zooming in on a particular section. But here's where it gets interesting. Their molecular structure has a unique resonance frequency. Disrupt that frequency. And we disrupt them, Hargrove finished. Precisely. Dr. Mehta finally looked up, excitement glimmering in his tired eyes. We're developing what we call harmonic disruptors, weapons that target this specific frequency. They won't just damage Kryvax technology, they'll be particularly devastating to Kryvax biology. For the first time in weeks, Hargrove felt a flicker of hope. How soon? We'll have prototypes ready for field testing in 3 days. Mass production could begin within 2 weeks. Make it 1, Hargrove ordered. Dr. Mehta nodded without argument. Everyone in Olympus understood the stakes. Hargrove's next stop was the Tactical Operations Center, where Major Lucas Novak awaited. A former Special Forces operative with a reputation for unorthodox approaches to impossible situations, Novak had been her first choice when assembling the Phoenix Strike team. Major, she greeted him. Commander. Novak activated a holographic display showing a distant star system. Our deep space reconnaissance has identified what appears to be a Kryvax forward operating base in the Procyon system. It's small, likely an observation post monitoring human expansion in that sector. He zoomed in on a strange, geometric structure orbiting a barren moon. We believe it's manned by a minimal crew, perhaps 20 to 30 Kryvax. Perfect target for our first strike. Hargrove studied the display carefully. Distance: 48 light-hours from the nearest human settlement. We can get there undetected if we use the experimental phase drive on the UES Spectre. The Spectre isn't combat-ready, Hargrove reminded him. Novak grinned, a wolfish expression that didn't reach his eyes. It doesn't need to be. This is a stealth operation, not a space battle. We get in, gather intelligence, test the harmonic disruptors, and get out. If all goes well, the Kryvax won't even know we were there until their outpost goes dark. Hargrove considered the plan. It was risky, but calculated, exactly the kind of operation they needed to begin turning the tide. Assemble your team, she decided. I want our best operatives. And I'll be joining you. Novak raised an eyebrow but knew better than to argue. The commander's reputation for leading from the front was well established. Later that evening, Hargrove stood in the Memorial Hall, a cavernous space where holographic images of Harmony Colony before the attack played in an endless loop. Here, away from the constant activity of Olympus, she allowed herself a moment of silent grief. I thought I might find you here, came Admiral Forrest's voice from behind her. Hargrove didn't turn around. The operation is on track. We launch in 4 days. Forrest moved to stand beside her, watching the images of children playing in Harmony's Central Park, oblivious to the fate that awaited them. I didn't come to discuss the operation, he said quietly. I came to check on my officer. I'm fine, sir. No, you're not, Forrest contradicted her gently. None of us are. But we need you at your best, Jillian. Vengeance is a powerful motivator, but it's an unreliable compass. Hargrove finally turned to face him. This isn't about vengeance. It's about survival. Is it? Forrest challenged. Because I've seen the mission parameters for your strike team. High risk, minimal tactical advantage. We need intelligence, Hargrove insisted. And we need to know if the harmonic disruptors work in field conditions. Both valid points, Forrest conceded. But there are other ways to gather that intelligence without risking our best commander. Hargrove's expression hardened. With respect, Admiral, I need to see them up close. I need to understand what we're fighting. She paused, her voice dropping. I need to know if they can be reasoned with at all, or if this truly is a fight to the last human standing. Forrest studied her for a long moment before sighing. Very well. But I want Lieutenant Commander Patel as your XO. She's level-headed, and she'll pull you out if things go sideways. Agreed, Hargrove said, knowing when to accept a compromise. As Forrest turned to leave, he paused. One more thing. The President has authorized Operation Exodus as a contingency plan. If the worst happens, we're preparing generational ships to carry as many humans as possible beyond Kryvax reach. The implication sent a chill through Hargrove. Exodus was the ultimate fallback, abandoning Earth itself. That's premature, she argued. It's preparation, Forrest corrected. Something we lacked when Harmony fell. We won't make that mistake again. After the Admiral departed, Hargrove remained in the Memorial Hall, watching the ghosts of a dead colony. Operation Phoenix had to succeed, not just for the 1.2 million already lost, but for the billions whose lives now hung in the balance. 4 days later, the UES Spectre slipped silently from Earth's solar system, its experimental phase drive leaving barely a ripple in spacetime. Aboard, Commander Hargrove and Major Novak's strike team prepared for humanity's first counterattack against the Kryvax Collective. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and the galaxy was about to witness the fierce determination of a species fighting for its very existence. First Blood. The UES Spectre emerged from phase space 50,000 kilometers from the Kryvax outpost, its advanced cloaking systems immediately engaging. On the bridge, Commander Hargrove watched the tactical display as the alien structure came into focus, a geometric lattice of crystalline materials that seemed to pulse with internal energy. All systems nominal, reported Lieutenant Commander Priya Patel, her fingers dancing across the control interface. Cloaking field stable. No indication they've detected us. Initial scans? Hargrove asked, her voice calm despite the tension thrumming through her body. Structure appears to be primarily composed of the same silicon crystalline material we found in the Harmony debris, Patel replied. I'm detecting approximately 25 life forms inside. Minimal defensive systems, they clearly weren't expecting visitors. Major Novak stepped forward, his combat armor already donned. Perfect. Just as we anticipated. Hargrove nodded. Prep the strike team. We move in 15 minutes. As the team made final preparations in the shuttle bay, Dr. Mehta conducted last-minute adjustments to their harmonic disruptors, sleek, rifle-like weapons with pulsing blue power cores. Remember, he instructed, these aren't conventional weapons. The primary firing mode emits a focused harmonic wave that should disrupt Kryvak's biological systems. The secondary mode targets their technology. Aim for central mass, their equivalent of vital organs appears to be concentrated in their thoracic cavity. Hargrove hefted her disruptor, feeling its weight. Any field recommendations, Doctor? Yes, Mehta said grimly. Don't miss. The 6-person strike team boarded the stealth shuttle, faces set with determination. Besides Hargrove and Novak, the team included Patel as operations coordinator, Sergeant Tomas Rodriguez for demolitions, Corporal Naomi Wu for technical systems, and Private First Class Omar Ibrahim as their combat medic. Mission parameters remain unchanged, Hargrove reminded them during the final approach. Primary objective is intelligence gathering. Secondary objective is testing the effectiveness of the harmonic disruptors. We're not here for a prolonged engagement. The shuttle docked silently against the outpost's outer hull. Corporal Wu deployed a specialized cutting tool that sliced through the crystalline material without triggering alarms. Moments later, they were inside. The interior of the Kryvak's outpost was unlike anything human eyes had witnessed before. The corridors seemed almost organic, pulsing with an inner light that shifted between deep purple and electric blue. The atmosphere was denser than Earth standard, creating a slight resistance to movement. Stay alert, Novak whispered. According to intel, Kryvak sense vibrations more acutely than sound. They moved silently through the alien structure, placing sensor packages at strategic junctions. Each device would transmit valuable data back to the Spectre, providing insights into Kryvak's technology and biology that could prove crucial to Operation Phoenix. They had placed 4 of the 7 planned sensors when the first encounter occurred. A Kryvak's warrior emerged from a side passage, a towering, insectoid figure with a crystalline exoskeleton that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. Its multiple limbs ended in what appeared to be natural weapons, serrated edges and pointed protrusions. For a heartbeat, both human and alien froze in mutual surprise. Then the Kryvaks emitted a high-pitched, chittering sound that needed no translation, alarm. Engage. Hargrove ordered, raising her disruptor. The harmonic weapons discharged simultaneously, sending visible waves of energy toward the Kryvak's warrior. When the waves made contact, the effect was immediate and devastating. The crystalline exoskeleton began to fracture, spiderwebbing with cracks as the alien's biological resonance was disrupted at the molecular level. The Kryvaks collapsed, its body literally falling apart from within. Effectiveness confirmed, Patel noted clinically, but there was no time for celebration. More incoming, Rodriguez warned as multiple signatures appeared on their tactical displays. They know we're here. Change of plans, Hargrove decided instantly. Wu, get to their central data node. Download everything you can. Ibrahim, cover her. Rodriguez, set charges on their power core. Novak, Patel, with me, will hold them off. What followed was a desperate battle through the alien corridors. The harmonic disruptors proved devastatingly effective, but the Kryvaks warriors fought with suicidal determination, pressing forward despite catastrophic injuries. They don't retreat, Novak observed grimly as he dropped another enemy. No self-preservation instinct at all. Hargrove had noticed the same thing. It was as if the individual Kryvax considered themselves expendable cells in a larger organism. The tactical implications were disturbing. How do you defeat an enemy that doesn't fear death? Wu's voice crackled over the comm. Commander, I've accessed their data systems. Downloading now, but, oh God. Report, Hargrove demanded, firing another burst at an advancing Kryvax. They've targeted 17 human colonies for immediate sterilization, Wu replied, her voice shaking. But that's not all. According to this, the attack on Harmony wasn't just a warning, it was a test run. They're perfecting their methods before launching a coordinated attack against all major human settlements, including Earth. Hargrove felt ice form in her veins. Timeline: 3 weeks. Maybe less. Rodriguez, status on those charges? Set and primed, Commander. Remote detonation ready. Wu, do you have what we need? Download at 87%. 92% complete. Fall back to the shuttle, Hargrove ordered. Move. Their retreat was a fighting withdrawal, each team member covering the others as they retraced their steps. Just as they reached their entry point, a massive Kryvax blocked their path, larger than the others, with elaborate crystalline formations adorning its exoskeleton. Commander, Novak warned, I think that's their equivalent of an officer. The Kryvax leader raised what appeared to be a weapon, but Hargrove was faster. Her harmonic disruptor fired, the energy wave striking the alien squarely in its central mass. But unlike the others, this one didn't immediately shatter. Instead, it staggered, then straightened, adapting to the frequency. They're learning, Patel realized with horror. Hargrove adjusted her weapons settings, cycling through frequencies until she found one that made the Kryvax commander's exoskeleton resonate visibly. With a final, precise shot, she brought it down. Seconds later, they were aboard the shuttle, disengaging from the outpost as Rodriguez triggered the charges remotely. The resulting explosion tore through the Kryvax structure, shattering its crystalline form into a million glittering fragments against the backdrop of space. Back aboard the Spectre, the team gathered in the briefing room to assess what they'd learned. The data Wu had extracted painted a grim picture. The Kryvax collective had designated humanity as an evolutionary threat to be eliminated. Their biology and technology were so alien that coexistence was never considered an option. They're not just fighting us, Hargrove concluded grimly. They're purging us, like an infection. But we've proven they can be hurt, Novak pointed out. The harmonic disruptors work. For now, Patel cautioned. But they adapted quickly. We'll need to stay ahead of them. As the Spectre prepared to return to Earth with its vital intelligence, Hargrove recorded a message for Admiral Forrest and the President. The Reckoning Storm. The news of Commander Hargrove's successful mission against the Kryvax outpost spread through Olympus like wildfire, igniting a spark of hope that had been absent since the fall of Harmony. But that hope was tempered by the intelligence they'd gathered. The Kryvax weren't just coming, they were bringing an extinction-level event to humanity's doorstep. Admiral Forrest stood before the gathered military and scientific leadership, his expression grave. 3 weeks. That's what Commander Hargrove's team has given us. 3 weeks before the Kryvax launch a coordinated attack against all major human settlements. He gestured to the holographic display showing the deployment of Earth's defenses. Thanks to Dr. Mehta and his team, harmonic disruptor production is at full capacity. We're retrofitting every ship in the fleet, and defensive installations are being constructed around our most populous colonies. President Rivera stepped forward. Operation Exodus has been accelerated. The first-generation ships will be ready to launch in 14 days. Priority evacuation protocols are being implemented across all colonies. Hargrove, standing at attention despite her exhaustion, spoke up. With respect, Madam President, evacuation should be our last resort. The intelligence we gathered suggests the Kryvax have targeted 17 colonies for immediate sterilization, but their resources aren't infinite. If we can mount a strong enough defense at key strategic points, we might be able to buy more time. I agree, General Okonkwo added. The data from the outpost indicates the Kryvax use central command structures to coordinate their attacks. If we can disrupt those command nodes, we could throw their entire offensive into disarray. The discussion continued, strategies formulated and discarded as humanity prepared for the coming storm. No one harbored illusions about the enormity of the challenge they faced. The Kryvax outmatched them technologically and numerically, but the successful strike had proven they weren't invincible. 10 days later, the storm broke. Hargrove stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, now the flagship of humanity's hastily assembled defense fleet at Solaris Station, a crucial waypoint between Earth and the outer colonies. Long-range sensors had detected a massive Kryvax battle group approaching. All ships, battle stations, she ordered, her voice steady despite the knot of tension in her stomach. Remember your training. Target their command vessels with harmonic torpedoes, and maintain distance. We don't want to get caught in their gravitational weapons range. The space around Solaris Station erupted in chaos as the Kryvax fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of crystalline vessels, their geometric forms glittering against the backdrop of stars, moved with eerie synchronization toward the human defenders. They're launching fighter analogs, reported Lieutenant Commander Patel, who had insisted on joining Hargrove for this crucial battle. Intercept patterns consistent with their tactics at Harmony. Deploy countermeasures, Hargrove ordered. Defensive screen Alpha. And get me a clear shot at that command ship. What followed was the largest space battle in human history, a desperate struggle against an enemy intent on nothing less than complete extermination. The harmonic weapons proved their worth, shattering Kryvax vessels with targeted frequency attacks, but the aliens adapted quickly, adjusting their crystalline structures to resist specific harmonics. 3 hours into the battle, humanity's defenses were faltering. 2 destroyers had been lost, and the Defiant itself had sustained heavy damage to its port side. We can't hold them much longer, Commander, Patel reported, her console sparking from a recent hit. Their adaptive capabilities are outpacing our frequency adjustments. Hargrove studied the tactical display, searching for any advantage. Then she noticed something, a pattern in the Kryvax formations each time they adapted to a new harmonic frequency. There, she pointed. Every time they adapt, there's a momentary synchronization wave that passes through their fleet. They're receiving adaptation instructions from the command ship. Dr. Mehta, who had joined the battle to monitor the effectiveness of his weapons, looked up sharply. If they're synchronizing at a specific frequency, we can use that against them, Hargrove finished. Doctor, can you isolate that synchronization frequency? Already working on it, Mehta confirmed, his fingers flying across his console. It's complex, a quantum-level communication system unlike anything we've got it. Hargrove didn't hesitate. All ships, recalibrate harmonic weapons to this frequency and target the command vessel on my mark. As the Kryvax fleet prepared for another assault, every human ship simultaneously fired their harmonic weapons at the precise frequency of the alien synchronization wave. The effect was catastrophic for the Kryvax. The command ship literally shattered from within, its crystalline structure collapsing as its own communication frequency was turned against it. The effect rippled through the Kryvax fleet, not destroying the other ships but throwing them into disarray. Without central coordination, their perfect formations dissolved into chaos. Press the advantage. Hargrove ordered. All ships, engage at will. The tide of battle turned. The human fleet, though battered, drove into the disorganized Kryvax forces with renewed determination. When the fighting finally ended, nearly 70% of the alien fleet had been destroyed or disabled. It was humanity's first major victory, and it came at a crucial moment. Similar battles were being fought across human space, some won, others lost. Colonies fell. Millions died. But the coordinated extinction event the Kryvax had planned was thwarted. The blow sent her sprawling, the virus device sliding across the floor. Wu dove for it but was caught by another of the alien's limbs, lifted high, and dashed against the wall with sickening force. Hargrove, ignoring the pain of her injuries, crawled toward the device. The Kryvax loomed over her, ready to deliver a final blow. Individual failure, it intoned. Hargrove's hand closed around the device. She looked up at the alien towering above her and smiled through bloodied lips. Collective vulnerability. With her last strength, she slammed the device against the central node. It adhered instantly, lights blinking as the virus began uploading into the Kryvax consciousness. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Kryvax leader convulsed, its crystalline form vibrating at increasing frequency. Throughout the ship, alien screams echoed as the virus spread through their shared consciousness. The central node pulsed erratically, cracks appearing across its surface. Hargrove dragged herself to Wu's body, checking for a pulse but finding none. "Mission accomplished, Corporal," she whispered. With the ship disintegrating around her, Hargrove activated her emergency beacon, though she held little hope of rescue. Her thoughts turned to Harmony Colony, to her family, to the billions of humans who might now have a future among the stars. Against all odds, a rescue shuttle from the Defiant breached the failing defenses of the Kryvax flagship, extracting Hargrove moments before the massive vessel shattered. From the observation deck of the Exodus flagship, named Phoenix, Admiral Forrest and President Rivera watched as the virus spread throughout the Kryvax armada. Ship after ship faltered, their perfect coordination dissolving into chaos as the collective consciousness that bound them fractured and collapsed. 3 days later, Commander Hargrove awoke in the medical bay of the Phoenix, her body battered but healing. Admiral Forrest stood at her bedside. "Earth?" she asked immediately. "Damaged but intact," Forrest replied. "The Kryvax fleet has been decimated. Those that survived have retreated beyond our scanning range." "The virus?" "Dar. Meta believes it permanently disrupted their collective consciousness. They may never recover their former cohesion." Hargrove closed her eyes, relief washing over her. "And the Exodus fleet?" 8 ships cleared the system safely. The other 4 have returned to Earth orbit. Humanity survives, Commander, both here and among the stars. As Hargrove recovered, humanity began the long process of rebuilding. The Kryvax threat had been neutralized, at least temporarily, but the experience had forever changed human perspective on their place in the galaxy. The generation ships that had escaped would seek new homes far from known space, carrying the seeds of human civilization to distant stars. Those who remained would rebuild Earth's defenses, stronger and wiser for having faced extinction and prevailed. In a ceremony held 6 months later, Commander Jillian Hargrove received the highest honors Earth could bestow. But as she stood before the assembled leaders of humanity, her thoughts were not on accolades or even victory. She thought instead of the cost, the millions lost at Harmony and other colonies, the brave men and women who had sacrificed themselves in the final battle. "We faced our darkest hour," she told the assembly, "and discovered our greatest strength, not just our technology or our weapons, but our humanity itself. Our individuality. Our diversity of thought and approach. Our refusal to accept defeat." She gazed out at the faces before her, seeing in them the future of her species. The stars once witnessed our near extinction. Now, they will bear witness to our ascension. Beyond Earth, the Exodus ships continued their journey into the unknown, carrying humanity's legacy to distant stars, a promise that whatever threats the universe might hold, humanity would endure, adapt, and ultimately prevail.